Hello, everyone, and welcome into another episode of us playing CWA in TEW 2020. I am really excited for these next couple of episodes. We only have two more shows until Clash Classic, which is going to be like our first really major pay-per-view of the year. We got a lot going on, so let's get into it. We kick off the show when Davis Diederich welcomes us to Vancouver for the first time this year and says they aren't going to waste any time tonight. Aaron Knight enters first, followed by a lone Christian Price, and finally Cameron Vesey. Christian Price goes out of his way to make sure he isn't between the other two as Cameron Vesey enters the ring. Knight begins to state his intentions, but is swiftly interrupted by Price. I don't even know what there is to discuss here. You have a match with me for this title here around my waist at Clash Classic. What else is there to say? It's then Cameron Vesey's turn to interrupt. He wants to know why the man that he beat at the last pay-per-view is getting a world title shot at the next pay-per-view. He and Price fire shots back and forth at each other until they start to get in each other's face. Enough, Aaron Knight shouts. I hate to say this, but Cameron's right. He beat me last month, and by all rights, he deserves the shot as much as I do. So I propose a three-way match. Christian Price shoots it down right away. He asks why on earth he should defend his title not only against another opponent, but in a match where he doesn't even have to get pinned to lose the title. Hell, why don't we add more people into the mix while we're at it? Segment gets an 86. Not surprised. We got basically our top guys out there. Aaron Knight came across well. Friedman golf script well. Got us off to a hot start. Cameron Vesey was poor when trying to improvise dialogue. You don't see that often. But Christian Price says, why don't we just add more people into the mix while we're at it? That's just what we're going to do, because right on cue, Sean McFly's music hits. He makes his way down to the ring. I couldn't help but hear you guys talking back there. And all this talk of who does and who doesn't deserve a title shot reminds me that last week I earned one of those. So, Christian, before you even think about accepting a three-way match, you need to worry about your match against me. I mean, we can go next week if you... All right, all right, all right, Price cuts him off. He's almost pulling his hair out at this point. You all make very good cases, but Sean, I never said when I'm giving you a title shot. That's damn sure not going to be next week. And the only person I'm contractually required to defend this title against at Clash Classic is Aaron Knight. So I'm sorry, he points at Cameron and Aaron, but you two will have to handle your little rivalry on your own time. He storms out. Vesey and Knight stare at each other for quite some time before Vesey exits the ring as well. Even better, segment gets an 87. Aaron Knight was well again. Cameron Vesey got his stuff together and was way better this time. Christian Price was doing well, and the angle got the crowd hotter. Awesome. Off to a good start. All right, in a decent match, Sonny Wildside defeated Mark Dubois, David Stone, and Princeton Price in 12:05 when Sonny Wildside pinned Mark Dubois with the Fear Factor. It's every man for himself to start out, and after Stone and Wildside have an in-ring exchange that Wildside gets the better of, two heels team up to beat him down, and they achieve just that. But when David Stone gets back into the mix and they start to take him out as well, Price turns on Dubois. They're not going to work together for long. They've kind of had their beef in the past. And, he turns on Dubois. He hits him with a forearm to the back of the head when he's not looking. Price tosses Stone out of the ring, but Dubois is already up and lifts him up for a suplex before dropping him stomach first on the ropes, and Price tumbles over and outside as well. But Dubois turns around and eats a super kick from Wildside and then a Fear Factor to win the match. Segment gets a 69. Nice. I actually want to see, Sonny Wildside was our best performer. Mark Dubois 62, but I mean not far off for the younger guys. David Stone still has that hot new move. Right. In a poor match, the Rock City Stars defeated the Brothers Kane in 7:49 when Rock and Ryan Turner pinned Eli Kane with a roll-up. Brothers Kane dominate early on, but after a whisper-in-the-wind-like maneuver from Rock and Ryan Turner, he scores a surprise roll-up victory. Segment gets a 52. Wasn't expecting much out of this match. In all honesty, I just wanted to get the Rock City Stars some pop. They're still pretty low, and I'm not really focusing on the Brothers Kane a lot right now, so figured they could spare some. They're not really high up either on Pop. All right. All right. Tim Westybrook is walking backstage when Mountie Man approaches and gets in his face. He is furious that he was embarrassed by Westybrook last week and demands a rematch as George Wolf walks up behind him. Westybrook nods his head and kind of points to alert Mountie Man, who he turns around and is staring at the chest of George Wolf and looks up. And when he realizes who he's stuck in between now, he books it, and Wolf and Westybrook go face to face. Wolf turns away and starts to leave, but then spins around and starts wailing on Westybrook, and the two brawl off into the distance. Segment gets a 64. Not much else to say. Whoa. Okay. In a bout that had good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd, Brooke Tyler defeated Claire Winters in 8:16 by submission with a Brooke breaker. Claire Winters does show a lot of heart and fire, but the match results never really in question, and Brooke Tyler wins with that Brooke breaker. Brooke Tyler had an 82, but Claire only had a 48. We still got a 79. I am not mad about that at all, guys. Best match of the night so far, and it's kind of a squash. All right, ooh. In an extremely short match, Eric Strong defeated Bobby Thomas in 5:04 by pinfall with a strong salt. Strong opens things up with multiple strikes, goes for a frog splash, but Thomas moves out of the way. But I bet you guys, if you've watched the episodes up until now, can guess Bobby Thomas taunts the crowd while Strong is down. He doesn't even hit a move on him. He just rolls out of the way and then starts posing. And Eric Strong gets up and hits the distracted Thomas with a reverse DDT and wins with the strong salt. Segment gets a 52. Yeah. Again. We had the big angles to start off, and we do have some matches throughout that I am excited with, but this is definitely more of a kind of an episode to set the table and set the table for Clash Classic and get a few people who maybe haven't been on as much or aren't going to be on Clash Classic, get them some matches. Dang, pretty good segment. We see Steve Colt sitting in his office, and he has an important announcement. He says that all three challengers for the CWA World Title make fair points, but it wouldn't be fair to our champion if I made him wrestle 3 title matches 3 weeks in a row. And I know damn good and well that these men aren't going to wait around for months to get their turn. So, we're in the wrestling business. So why don't we make some money at Clash Classic? The CWA World Title will be defended in a 4-way match. Segment gets an 83. And yeah, the main event for Clash Classic is set. Not only will our total elimination winner and number 1 contender Aaron Knight get a shot at it, but we're also going to have Vesey in the mix, as he beat Aaron Knight last week, or last pay-per-view. And Knight, being the respectable babyface, is going to honor the fact that happened. And we also have Sean McFly, who, he's gone through all the trials and tribulations that Christian Price and the Elite have put him through and came out on top. So he's kind of cashing his check in now, too. All right. Segment gets an 83. I don't know if I said that or not already. Okay. All right. In a decent match, Generation Z defeated the Montreal Mafia in 9:49 when Flip Simpkins pinned Mark Raisin with a boomer blast. This is a truly competitive match. It doesn't really, you'd have no idea which way it's going to go. And Tom Townsend on commentary does put over how important it is for Gen Z to get a win here to get back in tag title contention. They started off the series, they won their little feud with the Brothers Kane. And then kind of since then, they've kind of been just treading water. So, need to get back on track. Ayers and Raisins use cutoffs and double teams to take advantage, or to hold the advantage for most of the match. But after a comeback out of nowhere, Flip Simpkins, being the dynamic guy he is able to pin Mark Raisin after that boomer blast. Segment gets a 66. Tag team specialist bonus for the Montreal Mafia, and Haley Hunter did good work at ringside. Right. Again, not the most exciting of matches, but This is the kind of stuff you have to do when you have a fairly big roster and only one show. In a decent match, Omar Brown defeated Antonio Del Vecchio in 5:53 by submission with an Anaconda Vice. Um, Much like the last match, both of these guys are kind of floundering in their division right now, and they really both need a win just to establish the momentum. Vecchio gets some shots in, like it's not a really one-sided, but Brown's strength and aggression are too much to overcome, and the match ends obviously in 5:53 when he's able to lock on that Anaconda Vice. They have great chemistry though, so good to know. Only a 62 still, but hey, not terrible for the undercard. All right. The Queen's Court are backstage talking amongst themselves when Lauren Easter walks past. Nadia Snow shouts her down and tells her she doesn't appreciate her telling Amber Allen and whoever else will listen that she's next in line for the women's title. You see, Lauren, you're looking at the woman you would be challenging for that title right now. Right now. And I am going to be the one to decide when, where, and most importantly, who gets a title shot. I'm sorry, guys, my dogs are going crazy. I'm going to give it just a second. Easter responds and tells her not to get too far ahead of herself, and before she walks off, she throws in one last shot and says, I'd say we'll settle this soon, but we both know you aren't walking out of Clash Classic with the belt. So, kind of a bit of back and forth, some contentious words there between the challenger for the title on next Saturday and, yeah, the woman who thinks she's next in line after that. Segment gets a 65. Nadia Snow, great working without script. Jessica Conroy improvised well. Yeah, awesome. In a bout that had good heat and decent wrestling, Dante Dunn defeated Derek Frost in 9:54 by submission. Man, I don't know why people on this roster love using submission so much. I'm going to have to start putting in like the actual finish every time. I usually just do decisive and then like only specify pinfall, flash pinfall, submission, or whatever if I really have a specific thing in mind. I think I might just have to start doing it every time. I think like 50 to 60% of our matches end with submission, which is wild. Um, it's a typical big man matchup. Both take turns trying to chop each other down. Derek Frost hits a big clothesline. He transitions to grinding Dunn down and really tries to slow down the match. But Dunn, being the fiery baby face and obviously the more popular competitor, he fires up, hits his comeback spots, and locks in some sort of submission to beat Derek Frost. 61. Right. And next we get a promo from the Elite, minus Christian Price. And they're talking about Clash Classic and running down the card so far. They're all kind of like, oh, what about this match? Oh, you got this, you got this. And Drake Young gets to the tag title match and lists off the Griffin family. One of these things is not like the other, he says. We have world title matches, legendary names, returning stars, the greatest tag team of all time, and then the Griffin family? Get real. You aren't at anyone on that card's level, especially the Dynamite Expresses. And the promo ends with Cam Jones saying he and Sid are going to enjoy sending the Griffins back to obscurity. Segment gets a 76. Yeah, not bad. Alright, main event time. Okay, not great. Well, apparently it's superb, but wish would have been a little bit better. But in a superb match, didn't even do as good as the squash with Brooke Tyler earlier. Jeez, it's the power of Brooke Tyler. Uh, in a superb match, Jared Johnson defeats Ricky DeColt in 14:38 by submission with a Caroline crossface. That one I did know was going to happen actually, though. The two lock up early on and trade reversals and a few arm drags, but Ricky pulls ahead and has Johnson in a sleeper hold. At ringside, at this point, Johnny Bloodstone distracts the referee long enough that DeColt breaks the hold and comes to yell at him. But shockingly, once he's went to his feet, Johnson chews out Bloodstone too and tells him to go to the back and that he can handle this himself. We get back to the action, and again, it's fairly back and forth affair. Johnson starts to get ahead of steam, but Ricky smartly and kind of sneakily plays possum in the corner and allows him to take advantage after moving out of the way and to avoid a corner drop kick by Johnson. Ricky seems to have the match in hand at this point, but Johnson keeps avoiding the kill shot. DeColt goes to hit a hip toss on Johnson, but he reverses it into an armbar, Just before it looks like the Colt may tap, he somehow musters the strength to kind of roll his body over and turn it into a roll up. Knowing it likely won't score the victory, though, he turns it into a powerbomb after the ref counts one. But while in the air, Double J transition, and when they fall back to the ground, he has the Carolina crossface locked in onto Colt, who was forced to tap. So yeah, um, two guys who have not been really in the main event scene, but kind of bubbling right under that. And I mean, obviously not our greatest main event, but I don't think we're going to lose any pop this time around. So yeah, sometimes you got to throw those guys in there and see if they sink or swim. But segment gets a 78. That's about it. Show goes off the air, and Jared Johnson is victorious. Let's go ahead and finish the show. 79. So yeah, no popularity changes, but that's all right. Probably gonna have to come back to Vancouver again to try and get that pop up there. But yeah, after this, guys, we got one more episode, and then we have Clash Classic. Some really fun stuff coming up. Got some things brewing in the background I'm really stoked for. Yeah, we'll see you next time.